The tiny red light on my wife's microphone was the first thing that told me she had not dressed for a charity event. Kara stood in front of our bedroom mirror, smoothing a white dress I had never seen before, while a pearl-colored wireless mic sat clipped below her collarbone like jewelry. Outside, the November rain tapped against the window. Inside, the house felt too quiet for someone who claimed she was only going downtown to help pour coffee at a community fundraiser. She caught me watching the mic and gave me the kind of smile people use when they have already decided what version of the story they're going to tell. "Don't start, Logan," she said. "It's just an event." I looked at the small transmitter tucked into the back of her dress, the fresh makeup on the bathroom counter, the wedding ring she had left beside the sink, and the live stream reminder glowing on her phone. Just an event did not need a hidden battery pack. Just an event did not need Kara practicing her sad face before she walked out the door. "Why are you wearing a microphone before you even leave the house?" I asked. She turned slowly, one hand still touching the pearl clip. "Because people are finally going to hear my side." That sentence landed harder than any argument we had survived in the last year. Not because it was loud, because it sounded rehearsed. Kara and I had been married 8 years, long enough for me to know the difference between a thought and a line. For months, she had been telling friends I was distant, too serious, too suspicious, the kind of husband who made a room smaller just by standing in it. She never mentioned the nights she deleted messages before getting into bed. She never mentioned the calls she took in the laundry room with the dryer running. And she definitely never mentioned Derek Lawson, the media director from the Cedar Ridge Art Center, whose name kept appearing on her screen after midnight under excuses like event copy and stage notes. I had asked about him once. Kara laughed, so sharply I never asked again. Now she was fastening his microphone to her dress. Her phone buzzed on the dresser. She reached for it too quickly, but not before I saw the preview. "Derek, remember, emotion first." Then the line. Kara flipped the phone face down. "You're doing it again," she said, turning everything into an investigation. I wanted to shout. I wanted to grab the phone, open the messages, force the truth out before she could polish it for an audience. But there is a moment in some marriages when you realize the louder you get, the easier it becomes for the other person to call you exactly what they have been naming you in private. So I stayed still. "What line?" I asked. Her eyes moved to the mirror instead of me. "Nothing." Downstairs, the car service honked once from the curb. Kara slipped in her coat, then paused by the bedroom door as if she expected me to block it. Maybe she wanted me to. Maybe that was part of whatever performance she had planned. I followed her to the foyer, where the porch light turned the rain silver and the sedan waited. She picked up her clutch, checked the mic once, and said, "I need one night where people listen to me without you standing in the way." I looked at the woman I had once trusted with every quiet part of my life, and all I could see was the red light glowing against white fabric. "If you leave tonight," I said, keeping my voice low, "don't come back with another lie." For the first time all evening, Kara's smile disappeared. Then she leaned close enough for me to smell her perfume and whispered, "Then don't watch the live stream." She stepped into the rain, climbed into the sedan, and never looked back. I stood in the doorway until the taillights vanished. Then my phone lit up with a notification from the art center, and the title of the live stream made my stomach go cold. I almost did not open the notification. That was the strange part. A year earlier, I would have tapped it before the banner finished sliding down, desperate to understand why my wife had started guarding her life like a locked office. But standing in the foyer with rainwater blowing across the porch and the smell of her perfume still hanging in the air, I felt tired in a way suspicion could not explain. The notification came from the Cedar Ridge Art Center, the little brick building 3 miles from downtown where Kara had volunteered twice, maybe 3 times, before suddenly acting as if it had become her second home. The title read, "Tonight Live. The Night I Chose Myself, featuring Kara Hayes." For several seconds, I just stared at those words. Not holiday giving night. Not Cedar Ridge winter fundraiser. Not even Community Voices, which was the harmless title she had mentioned over dinner 2 nights earlier. The night I chose myself. Featuring Kara Hayes. My wife had not gone to help an event. She had gone to be the event. I locked the front door, walked into the kitchen, and set my phone on the table like it was evidence from somebody else's life. The livestream thumbnail showed Kara in that same white dress, smiling under soft stage lights, the pearl microphone shining at her collar like a tiny moon. Behind her was a purple banner I had never seen before, printed with the words reclaiming her voice. My chest tightened, not with jealousy, but with the sick embarrassment of realizing strangers had been invited into my marriage before I even knew the door was open. I pressed play. The stream had not officially started yet. A wide camera angle showed a small auditorium filled with round tables, folded programs, and little glass vases of white flowers. People were still finding seats. A young woman at the sound table tested levels. Somewhere off camera, Derek Lawson's voice said, "Keep the house audio warm. We want this to feel intimate." I heard paper shuffle, then Kara's laugh, soft and practiced. That laugh used to mean she was nervous. Now it sounded like she was warming up. I turned the volume down, then back up, as if that could make what I was seeing less real. On the right side of the screen, live chat messages began to appear. "So proud of you, Kara. You deserve to be heard. Courage looks good on you." One comment stopped me cold. Finally telling the truth about what he put you through, I leaned closer. He, not life, not grief, not burnout. He. My hand moved before I thought. I opened my laptop and searched the event page. The original fundraiser listing still existed in a cached preview from last week. Cedar Ridge Winter Fundraiser, sponsored by Logan and Kara Hayes. But the current page looked different. My name was gone. The sponsor line now read, "Special evening presented with support from Kara Hayes." Under the speaker biography, someone had written, "After years of feeling silenced in her own home, Kara found the courage to step into the light." I read that sentence 3 times, waiting for some reasonable explanation to appear between the words. None did. At 7:58, the stream switched to a closer shot of the stage. Derek stepped in a frame, wearing a navy suit and a concerned expression that looked too polished to be spontaneous. He welcomed everyone to a night of honesty, healing, and brave departures. Brave departures. I looked toward the hallway where Kara had kept our framed wedding photo for 8 years. The frame was still there, but earlier that afternoon she had turned it face down, claiming she was dusting. On screen, Derek lifted a program and said, "Before Kara comes out, please remember that some stories are difficult because they were hidden for too long." Then he looked directly into the camera. "Tonight, she is not asking permission anymore." The audience applauded. That was when I understood the evening had a script, and I was already written as the villain before it began. Backstage, just barely audible, Kara said, "Wait until they hear the line tonight." The camera cut before I could hear what Kara meant by the line. A music track swelled through my laptop speakers, soft piano over a low hum, and Derek stepped aside with both hands raised like he was introducing someone who had survived something holy. Kara walked onto the stage beneath a circle of warm light, and the room stood for her. I knew half those people. Our dentist was at table 3. My old neighbor from Maple Street sat beside the silent auction display. Mrs. Leland, who had once brought us soup when Kara had the flu, pressed a tissue to her cheek before my wife had even said a word. Kara paused at the microphone stand, but she did not use it. Instead, she touched the pearl mic on her dress, as if reminding everyone that her voice was finally close enough to hear. The chat exploded with hearts. I sat alone at my kitchen table, watching my wife receive sympathy for a story I had not been allowed to read. "For years," Kara began, "I thought love meant shrinking quietly so someone else could feel safe." The applause came fast. Too fast. That was how I knew Derek had trained them, or at least prepared the room to hear me before my name was spoken. Kara kept her eyes lowered, the picture of restraint. "I'm not here to attack anyone," she said, which was exactly what people say when the attack has already been arranged. "I am here because some silence becomes a cage." The comments rolled faster. "You are so brave. We believe you. No woman should live like that." I felt my face get hot, but not from anger. It was shame, the kind that arrives when people you have smiled at in grocery aisles are suddenly imagining you as a closed door in your own home. Kara lifted one hand and let it tremble just enough. "Tonight, I walked out wearing white because I wanted to remember that I'm still allowed to begin again. A woman near the front put her hand over her heart. Derek stood near the curtain, nodding as if every sentence had landed exactly where he aimed it. Then came the first new thing I had not expected. On the screen behind Kara, a photo appeared from our backyard last spring. I was in it, but barely. The image had been cropped so that only my shoulder remained at the edge while Kara stood in sunlight, holding a tray of lemonade for our friends. The caption read, "Learning to smile where no one saw the cost." I pushed back from the table. That picture had been taken at my 40th birthday cookout. Kara had surprised me with ribs from my favorite place, laughed beside me for hours, and fallen asleep on my shoulder before dessert. Now it had been turned into proof of private suffering. The reveal did not expose an affair or a document. It exposed something worse. She had been collecting ordinary happiness and saving it as future evidence of pain. Kara continued, "Sometimes people ask why women stay. The answer is simple. We are taught to protect the person who hurts us, even when that person calls it love." My phone buzzed. It was a message from my sister, Emily. "Are you watching this?" "Logan, what is going on?" Before I could answer, another message appeared from a number I did not recognize. "This is Mia at Cedar Ridge. Please save the stream." I frowned. On screen, Kara took a breath, and the camera moved closer, framing the pearl mic and her face until the rest of the room disappeared. "I was told tonight," she said, "that if I left the house, I should not come back." The audience went silent in the way people do when they think they have just heard the truth. My own words had returned without the lie attached to them. Then Derek glanced toward the sound table, and for the first time, he looked nervous, because the woman at the controls had just raised her hand, pointing at something blinking red beside Kara's name on the audio monitor screen. The red blink on the audio monitor lasted less than a second, but Mia saw it before Derek did. I could tell because the camera caught her reflection in the dark glass behind Kara. She was at the sound table, one hand hovering over the board, her face tight with the careful panic of someone who has found a problem in front of 200 people and cannot announce it without creating a bigger one. Kara did not notice. She was still standing beneath the spotlight, letting my sentence hang in a room as if I had spoken it with a slammed door behind me instead of a quiet warning after months of lies. The chat turned against me fast. Some comments were angry. Some were protective. Some used words that made me feel like a stranger inside my own name. I kept my hands flat on the kitchen table and forced myself not to type. Anything I wrote would look exactly like the version of me Kara wanted them to see. Then the screen behind her changed. A sponsor slide faded in, probably earlier than planned, and the room shifted from emotion to polite applause. At first, it looked harmless. Local businesses, family names, donation tiers, the usual small city generosity dressed up in clean fonts. Then I saw the gold banner across the bottom. Foundation Circle, Kara Hayes. Not Logan and Kara Hayes. Not Hayes Family Fund. Just her name, standing alone under a level that cost $15,000. I knew that amount because I had written the check. 3 weeks earlier, Kara had placed the Art Center invoice beside my coffee and said it was for winter programs for kids. I had paid it from our joint account before leaving for work, and she had kissed my cheek for the first time in 9 days. Now the public slide had erased me from the donation and turned my money into part of her escape story. A comment appeared almost immediately. Was her husband not a sponsor last year? Another followed. I remember seeing Logan at the auction. Why is his name gone? Derek moved from the curtain to the side of the stage. His smile stayed fixed, but his jaw tightened. He made a small slicing motion toward the tech booth. The slide vanished. Kara glanced back, annoyed for half a beat, and that half beat told me everything. She knew exactly what had been changed. My phone buzzed again. Mia had sent a second message. "He is trying to cut anything that shows your name." I stared at the screen, then at the donor receipt still sitting in my email. My first instinct was to send it to the chat, to drop proof into the room like a brick through glass. But Mia sent another message before I moved. "Please do not post. There is a backup feed. Let them continue." That was the first time all night I felt something other than humiliation. Not hope exactly. Hope felt too clean. This was colder, sharper, like finding a handrail in a dark stairwell. On the live stream, Kara recovered quickly. She stepped away from the screen and said, "Sometimes support comes from places people never see. Sometimes we have to become our own sponsor." The audience applauded again, but not as loudly. The chat had changed texture. It was no longer a wave. It was a room full of people squinting at a picture that did not line up. Derek stepped forward with a handheld microphone and said they would move into Kara's final reflection. That phrase, final reflection, made my stomach tighten. He was trying to skip something. Kara's eyes flicked toward him, then toward the sound table, where Mia had lowered her hand and was now looking straight at the monitor. The pearl mic on Kara's dress gave one clean red pulse. Derek saw it this time. His face lost color. Then my phone lit up with Mia's third message. "Do not leave the stream. Her channel is still armed, and Derek does not know which feed is live." For the first time that night, I understood the stage itself was quietly choosing sides. Kara did not follow Derek's cue. He held the handheld microphone toward her like an exit ramp, smiling at the audience, ready to wrap the evening before the strange donor slide and the blinking audio monitor became questions he could not manage. But Kara turned away from him and faced the room again. That small act changed the energy. Derek's smile faltered. Mia's head lifted at the sound table. In my kitchen, I stopped breathing for a second because I recognized the look on Kara's face. It was the same look she wore whenever she decided that being interrupted was worse than being wrong. She touched the pearl mic, and the red pulse disappeared. The audience saw only grace. I saw calculation. "Before I leave this stage," she said, "I need to say the sentence I carried here tonight." Derek shifted behind her. The chat slowed, as if even strangers could feel the room leaning forward. Kara let the pause stretch. She was good at pauses. She had used them in arguments for years, waiting until my concern sounded like pressure, until my silence sounded like guilt. Tonight, as I was walking out of my own home, she said, "I was told that if I left, I should not come back." The room inhaled. Someone whispered, "Oh my gosh." Kara lowered her eyes, not enough to cry, just enough to invite people to imagine tears. And for the first time, I kept walking. Applause broke open. Not polite applause this time. Angry applause. Protective applause. The kind that makes a crowd feel righteous before it knows whether it has been lied to. My phone vibrated with Emily's name, but I did not answer. I could barely look away from the screen. Kara had taken 10 words from our doorway and turned them into a fence I had supposedly built around her life. She did not mention another lie. She did not mention the mic, the texts, the missing ring, the donor slide, or Derek's message telling her to use the line. She left out every piece that would have made the sentence honest. That was the reveal. Not that Kara could lie. I already knew that. The reveal was that she understood the power of leaving just enough truth inside the lie to make it difficult to defend yourself. Derek recovered and clapped first. The audience followed him. The chat filled again. "Leave and heal. Never go back. He showed who he is." I reached for the glass of water beside my laptop, but my hand stopped halfway when the screen behind Kara changed again. A new slide appeared for less than 2 seconds before someone killed it. Most viewers probably missed it. I did not. It showed the final segment title, "After Tonight, Building a Life Without Fear." Under that was a bullet list, and the first bullet read, "Emergency Housing Partners." The second read, "Legal Referral Circle." The third read, "Public Statement Monday Morning." My body went cold in a different way. This was not just a speech. It was a launch. Kara was not only telling people she had left me. She was preparing a public version of our separation before I had even been told we were separating. Mia texted again. "Screenshot that slide if you can." I did. Then another message appeared from her immediately after. She does not know that slide went out. Derek is furious. On the live stream, Derek stepped close enough to speak without his microphone picking up much. Kara's smile tightened, and for the first time, she looked toward the booth instead of the crowd. The chat had begun asking about the slide. Public statement about what? Is she safe tonight? Did he threaten her? I watched the questions multiply and realized Kara had built a fire in a room full of dry paper. Then the camera angle shifted too quickly, cutting away from her face to a wide shot of the stage curtains. The audio dipped, crackled, and came back thinner, like someone had changed channels in a panic. And Kara was walking straight into it without knowing yet. Mia's next message arrived in 3 short words. Backstage feed next. The stream did not cut to black. That was what made it feel worse. If the picture had disappeared, I could have told myself Cedar Ridge was having technical trouble, that the auditorium Wi-Fi had dropped, that everyone watching would lose interest and move on. Instead, the camera shifted to a narrow backstage angle that looked accidental, half blocked by a curtain and a metal lighting stand. Kara crossed into view with Derek right behind her, his polished stage voice gone. The audio came back in pieces, thin but clear enough. Why did that slide go up? Cut us a nip. Derek looked toward the booth, then at the pearl mic on her dress. Keep your voice down. She laughed once, sharp and nervous. They already heard the important part. In the chat, people were asking what they were seeing. Is this backstage? Why are we still live? Someone wrote, her mic is still on. And another answered, I think they switched feeds by mistake. My pulse felt slow and heavy. I waited for Derek to notice the camera, but he was focused on the microphone clip. He reached toward it, stopped himself, then looked around as if the walls had ears. Kara, listen to me, he said. The warning line worked, but the sponsor slide made people curious. We need to move the Monday statement up before Logan can frame this as a misunderstanding. I stared at the screen because for the first time all night, the lie had stepped out of costume. Kara folded her arms. He'll not post anything. Logan hates public scenes. Hearing my own restraint turn into part of their plan made something inside me go very quiet. Derek lowered his voice, but the pearl mic caught him anyway. You said he would probably text you after the show. If he does, do not answer. We need him sounding desperate, not reasonable. The chat changed instantly. Wait, what? Did he just say they need him desperate? This is bad. Kara glanced toward the stage curtain, still not understanding. I gave you everything you asked for, she said. The photos, the line, the donation history, the ring off, the whole beginning again angle. You told me this would make people believe me before he could explain. Derek rubbed his forehead. And they do, unless the backup feed keeps rolling. Backup feed. The words hit the chat like a match. Mia texted me at the same moment. It is recording to the event archive. I am not stopping it unless safety requires it. I read her message twice. I did not know Mia. I had seen her only once, 2 summers earlier, selling raffle tickets near the Arts Center lobby. Yet this stranger had done more to protect the truth in 10 minutes than some of our friends had done in 10 months. On the stream, Kara finally looked toward the monitor mounted near the hallway. Her face changed, but not completely. Not fear yet. Recognition. She saw the red live icon in the corner of the backstage feed, then the chat moving beside it. Her hand flew to the pearl mic. Derek whispered something I could not make out, then reached behind her shoulder to find the transmitter. The audio scraped, crackled, and then returned louder because his fingers had bumped the gain control instead of the power switch. Kara's voice cut through every speaker. If Logan tries to defend himself, I will say this is exactly why I left. The chat stopped feeling like strangers. It became a room full of witnesses. No one was clapping now. No one was posting hearts. Message after message appeared, each one shorter than the last. She staged it. He did not know. Save the replay. My phone buzzed so many times I turned it face down. I could not read. Emily, neighbors, old co-workers, people who had believed the first version and were now watching the second overwrite it live. Kara finally understood. She stared straight at the backstage camera, her hand still crushing the pearl mic against her dress. Then Derek looked at someone off screen and said, "Find Mia now, before she sends this to everyone online." The moment Derek said Mia's name, the backstage feed became a different kind of dangerous. Until then, Kara had been exposed by accident. Now, someone was trying to erase the accident before it became permanent. The camera caught only the edge of the hallway, but I saw enough. Derek moved fast past the curtain, speaking to someone in a black event jacket, pointing toward the sound booth with the kind of authority that makes volunteers step aside before asking why. Kara stayed near the monitor, frozen between the person she had performed and the person the feed had just revealed. Then her phone came out. Mine rang 3 seconds later. Kara Hayes flashed across my screen, and for the first time that night, I did not feel tempted to answer right away. I let it ring twice. On the third, I picked up and said nothing. Her voice arrived thin, breathless, and polished with panic. "Logan, what did you do?" I looked at the live stream, still running on my laptop. "I'm sitting at our kitchen table." "Do not play calm with me," she said. "You set this up. You had somebody filming me backstage." There it was, the next version forming while the old one was still burning. I almost laughed, but there was no humor left in me. "Kara, you were calling me from a building full of cameras while wearing a live microphone." She went quiet for half a second, then lowered her voice. "You need to tell them you misunderstood. You need to say we were having a private marital issue and that people are twisting it." Behind her, through the live stream, Derek's voice barked, "Where is the moderator?" The delay was only a few seconds, so I heard his words on my laptop after I heard the fear inside Kara's breathing. "Listen to me," she said. "If you let this keep going, people will think I lied." I finally felt the emotional shift I had been waiting for all year. Not victory, not revenge, just distance. Her biggest fear was not what she had done to me. It was that people might know. Before I could answer, a new message from Mia appeared. "Release form uploaded to archive." She signed a check-in. "Backup is time-stamped." Another file followed, a clear photo of Kara's signature on a Cedar Ridge Media consent form. The form listed live stream, backstage audio, promotional replay, and archival recording. Kara had not been secretly filmed. She had approved the camera, the microphone, and the replay when she believed all of them would serve her version. I opened the image on my phone while she kept talking. "Tell them you were angry," she said. "Tell them the line sounded worse than you meant. Give me that, Logan. Just give me that." For 8 years, I had given Kara softer words for hard things. I had explained away her silences, her coldness, her disappearing patience, her ability to make me apologize for questions she never answered. But staring at her signature under the words media consent, I understood that kindness becomes surrender when someone uses it to bury the truth. "No," I said. The word was not loud, but it cleared something in me. On the live stream, Derek reached the sound booth. The camera shook as someone tried to turn it away, and for a moment, the picture caught Mia standing with both hands over a small gray control case. She did not look dramatic. She looked scared, steady, and completely unwilling to move. Derek said, "Hand over the archive drive." Mia answered clearly enough for every viewer to hear. "It is already synced to the Cedar Ridge board account." The chat surged again. "Saved. Official archive." She signed release. Kara whispered my name like a warning. Then Mia looked directly into the backstage camera and said, "Logan Hayes did not record this. The event system did." The screen cut to the Cedar Ridge logo, but the audio stayed open long enough for Kara to say, "Then we have to make him look involved anyway." That last sentence opened a colder question than the first lie had. How far had she planned to go? The Cedar Ridge logo sat frozen on my laptop, cheerful and blue, while the audio kept bleeding through like the building itself refused to be quiet. For 10 seconds, no one on screen moved because there was no screen anymore, only voices over a logo meant to hide them. Derek said, "Kara, stop talking." Kara said, "No, you stop acting like this is over." Then Mia's voice cut in, smaller but steady. "The archive is protected. The board account already has it." I heard a door open, footsteps, somebody asking if the public feed was still active. Then everything went silent. Not buffered, not crashed, intentionally muted. My kitchen suddenly felt enormous. The refrigerator hummed. Rain moved through the gutters. My phone showed 26 unread messages, and every one of them felt like a hand reaching through a wall I had spent the night leaning against. I ignored most of them until one arrived from a number labeled Only Cedar Ridge Board Office. It contained a link, a timestamp, and a note from Mia. They're trying to replace the replay with an edited upload. Save this version. I opened it. The archive loaded from the beginning, but Mia had marked 3 chapters. Sponsorslied. Buxtage feed. Release form. Beneath those was a 4th marker I had not seen before. Monday's statement draft. My thumb hovered over it. I did not want another reveal. I wanted 1 minute where the truth stopped getting worse. But the title pulled me in because my name was in the file description. Logan Hayes response strategy. I tapped it. A scanned document filled my screen. It was not a public statement about Kara leaving Fear. It was a plan to make my reaction look like proof. The first page listed suggested talking points. Logan monitored the live stream obsessively. Logan contacted staff through unknown channels. Logan attempted to interfere with Kara's speech. The second page had blank spaces for screenshots of my texts, except the captions had already been written. Concern becomes control. Silence becomes intimidation. Questioning becomes harassment. My stomach turned because I had not sent a single public message all night, yet they had built a place to put one. At the bottom, Derek's initials appeared beside a note. If Logan remains quiet, emphasize pattern of emotional shutdown. So even my silence had been assigned a crime. I saved the document. Then I sent one message to Mia. Does Kara know this file exists? Her reply came less than a minute later. She helped write it. That was the emotional turn that finally separated the woman on the screen from the woman in my memories. Until then, some foolish corner of me had imagined Derek as the architect and Kara as someone swept into the spotlight by anger, attention, and bad advice. But the draft had her phrasing all over it. Soft words sharpened into blades. Healing. Voice. Fear. Beginning again. She had not lost control of a story tonight. She had lost control of a weapon. My phone rang again. Kutta. I let go to voicemail. A message appeared from Emily right after. Logan, I am sorry. I believed her for 5 minutes. That apology should have comforted me, but it only made the room heavier. 5 minutes was all it took for a good lie to enter decent people. Another message came, this time from Kara. Please come get me before this gets uglier. I looked at the screen, at the signed release form, at the Monday strategy, at the pearl microphone still visible in the frozen preview of her dress. The same object that was supposed to make the room hear her had made the room hear everything around her. I typed one sentence back. You can take a car home, but do not bring another version of tonight into this house. I placed the phone face up on the table. For a while, nothing happened. Then headlights swept across the kitchen window, and someone set something small and white on my front porch. The doorbell rang once, and through the glass I saw Kara standing behind it without the microphone, holding only her coat and her story. I did not open the door right away. Kara could see me through the glass, but for the first time all night, I let the silence belong to me instead of handing it over for her to edit. The porch light showed rain on her coat, mascara under one eye, and the careful helplessness she used when anger stopped working. At her feet sat a small white envelope sealed with Cedar Ridge tape. I looked down and knew before I touched it. The pearl microphone was inside. She followed my eyes and said, Mia left that here. She had no right. I opened the door only as far as the chain allowed. You told me not to watch the live stream. Kutta Sugalowit. I was hurt. You were prepared. The sentence landed between us, heavier than shouting. She looked past me into the kitchen, at the laptop still open on the table, at the archive screen with her signature enlarged beside the words promotional replay and backstage audio. For a second, she stopped performing. Her shoulders dropped, and the face behind the story finally showed itself. Tired, cornered, not sorry enough yet to be safe with the truth. Derek pushed the public statement, she said. He said if I did not control it first, you would. I unlatched the chain, picked up the envelope, and stepped back. Not to invite her home, to let the truth come in before she did. Inside was the mic, wiped clean and coiled carefully, along with a note from Mia. It read, The archive answers the question everyone is asking. Logan Hayes did not film her. Kara Hayes signed for the system that did. I placed the microphone on the kitchen table. The red light was off now, just a dead little pearl beside my coffee mug, harmless without her voice running through it. That almost made it sadder. It had not trapped her. It had only stayed honest longer than she did. Kara came inside, but remained near the door. People are calling me, she said. The board is asking questions. Derek is not answering his phone. I nodded once. That sounds like the part where the story stops being mine. She flinched at that, maybe because she expected punishment and got distance instead. Logan, I need you to say something publicly. Just that tonight was complicated. Just that you and I have issues like every married couple. We do have issues, I said. But our issues did not write that Monday statement. Our issues did not remove my name from a donation. Our issues did not tell Derek to make me look unstable if I stayed quiet. Her mouth opened, then closed. She glanced at the microphone like it might betray her again, even silent. I thought if people believed me first, I would not have to explain why I wanted out. That was the closest thing to honesty she had given me all night, and it hurt more than the lie. Because wanting out would have been survivable. Turning me into the door she needed to escape from was the part one could not carry. I slid her wedding ring from the edge of the sink, where she had left it, and set it beside the mic. Not dramatic, not final in a courtroom way. Just two small objects that had stopped meaning what she wanted them to mean. You can come back tomorrow for clothes and whatever you need, I said. Emily will be here, or we can arrange a time with someone neutral. But you are not coming back tonight to rehearse another version. Kara looked at the ring, then at me. So that is it? I shook my head. No, that is the first honest thing we have done in months. She cried then, quietly, not for the audience, not for Derek, not for the chat. Maybe for herself. Maybe for us. I did not move toward her, and I did not move away. When the car returned, she picked up her coat and left the microphone behind. By morning, the replay was still online, and I slept without wondering which version of my life would wake up first.